This is your prophecy update. There are three things that we should take away from yesterday's meeting, as reported by the Jerusalem Post, between President Trump and Prime Minister Netanyahu, which was really focused mainly on a peace agreement. Trump's refraining from clearly saying that two states is the only way, while endorsing a wider regional approach, is a very significant reset of the entire diplomatic process with the Palestinians. One of the three major takeaways from the Trump-Netanyahu press conference on Wednesday in the White House is this: there will be differences between the two men because they are leaders of different countries whose interests do not always intersect, but the differences will be dealt with in a very different way, as really among friends now and not rivals as the previous administration. Obama's tone, his demeanor at his first meeting was almost that of a teacher telling a pupil, Netanyahu, what he has to do. But Trump's tone was friendlier and lighter. It was much more of a casual experience for both men, actually. The second major takeaway from the press conference yesterday was really one of substance. Trump's refusal to unequivocally endorse the two-state solution, even though U.S. policy, it's what the U.S. policy has been since President George W. Bush announced support for the Palestinian state in 2002. That is a significant shift from what has become unquestionably that the only solution is a two-state solution. Trump is essentially saying that he is open to entertaining ideas and approaches to the diplomatic process other than the ones that have already been tried and have failed all the way back since the Oslo peace process began in '93. The third major takeaway is this administration's endorsement of really looking at a wider regional diplomatic process, as Netanyahu has been advocating for really a number of years. According to this idea, the sands in the Middle East have shifted fundamentally, and it will now be easier for Israel to reach understandings with the pragmatic Sunni states in the region: Egypt, Jordan, the Saudis, and the United Arab Emirates. Once those understandings are reached, or diplomatic things are reached with those countries will then nudge the Palestinians to be more flexible, which will make an Israeli-Palestinian deal much more likely at that point. Former U.S. Secretary of State John Kerry dismissed this idea out of hand as unrealistic, saying that the Arabs would never go for it. Not Trump, however. He wants to give the ideal a whirl. He stated it is actually a much bigger deal than just a peace agreement, a much more important deal in a sense. It would take in many, many countries and cover a very large territory. He goes on to say, I think that we have some pretty good cooperation from people who in the past would never, ever have thought about doing this. Well, much has been written in the last few days about how the first Trump-Netanyahu meeting would go and the new friendlier tone between the two leaders, and how it will reset Israel-U.S. relations after the rocky Obama years. But more than a reset of Israel-U.S. ties, Trump's refraining from clearly saying that the two states is the only way, while endorsing a wider regional approach, is a significant reset of the entire diplomatic process with the Palestinians. It appears that new strategical efforts are being made towards a future peace agreement, and it is absolutely necessary that we follow them, because the specific peace agreement that we are looking for will begin the final 7 years to the second coming of Jesus Christ and the Battle of Armageddon.